Hey, what's up, Life Teen? It's your youth minister, Paul. All right, so the inspiration for this video is, quite frankly, we just had All Saints Day. Saints are just, I have like a soft spot for saints. Number one, like looking at you all, knowing just you guys, like you guys are saints in the making. You guys are amazing, unrepeatable. You've been giving so many gifts, and I know when I say that, some of you are like, I don't know, I just don't know. And that's a lie because, God created you for a plan. He has a plan for you, loves you, and you have a part to play in the salvation of the world. And God needs you. He needs your voice, He needs your hands and your feet. And I remember, you know, at your age, really grappling with, holiness and like, all right, what is this faith thing? What is holiness? What is sanctity? What's my role? What's my plan? And quite honestly, I mean, the purpose of life is to know, love, and serve God. And it's up to us to dig into that, to lean into that, and to do something about our faith, to do something about the questions that we have. And quite frankly, when I was younger, I remember just getting into scripture, getting into faith, like opening the Bible, just asking questions, and I was curious, and I started going to youth group. I started going to conferences, and those things made a huge difference because I did something about it. I was curious about faith, and I had this yearning, this desire, and I did something about it. And the same goes for you guys. I mean, quite frankly, in order to get a six pack of abs, you got to work on it. In order to get in, to the best colleges, you got to take the tests. We understand that it takes something to get somewhere. The spiritual life is very much the same. It's a relationship. To know somebody, you have to be with somebody. So God's calling you to be with Him, to enter into heaven, to enter into His song, to enter into His symphony, and He's given you everything you need to do it. All you have to do is go for it. To get excited about your faith, take it to a new level. Imagine the love and the power and just the absolute bliss and just the communication, the conversations, the peace, the mercy that you'll feel with God of the universe. You want to get to know the God of the universe? That's pretty cool. That's what we do in youth ministry. That's why I do what I do as a youth minister and all our other core member youth ministers here at St. John Newman. So when I was in high school, the Bible passage that I loved the most was Luke 5, and you know this scene really well. It's the lowering of the nets. Jesus goes up to Peter, James, and the apostles and says, lower your nets for a catch. They have this great miracle, and next thing you know, the net is breaking, and Peter says, "Depart from me, I'm a sinful man," and humbles himself, and Jesus says, "Come and follow me." Uh, that passage, I know it's cliche, but it's always really been close to my heart because you have these fishermen who are just average, stinky. They're not like super well educated. They're just whatever. They're fishermen. They're hardworking people, and that ordinary becomes extraordinary the minute they meet Jesus Christ. And in your life and my life, it is very much the same. Jesus brings extraordinary things to our lives, and we just have to let Him into our hearts. Too often than not, we build up walls. We let the world rule our lives. We're attached to too many worldly things and not the things that really matter. And we need to be able to sift through those things and kind of let those things just fall like scales, like St. Paul. I remember when he fell off his horse because St. Paul was a great persecutor of the Christians, and he says he was blinded for 3 days, and on the third day, like scales falling off of his eyes. He mentioned it that way, and he can see. And in our own lives, we need these scales to fall off our own eyes because Christ needs us. The church needs us. Our youth group, me as your youth minister, Father Barry as your pastor, we need you. And I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't be lying to say that I feel the effects of the world. Youth ministry is a lot more difficult now than it used to be. So I pray that that this call of holiness gets in your heart. And sacrifice is a real thing. Jesus, came and says, take up your cross and follow me. He didn't say take up your lollipop and follow me. I mean, holiness isn't easy, but everything that has greatness involved, a victory involved, it doesn't come easy. So dig in and be curious. When I was in youth group, like I said, like I mentioned, I went to conferences. I got into it. I just kind of dove in. Like Peter at the end of the Gospels, when he saw Jesus, he just jumped out of the boat and went to him because he was excited. He just jumped in. No difference there. So there's a story of a gentleman that was in Rome, and I don't know if I'm going to use this story or whatever, but whatever. And he was basically outside John Paul's window. And if you ever went to Rome, John Paul's window is way up on the Vatican off of St. Peter's, and you can see it. It's a really cool thing. I was there, and I would scream into him. He didn't look out the window, but on this particular day, this gentleman would say, he kept coming to the window, and he kept saying, "Coraggio, coraggio," which means courage, courage, courage. And he kept doing it, and he got the attention of the Pope, St. John Paul II, and St. John Paul II brought him in to a papal meeting, breakfast. They probably shared some tea and some crumpets together. And he let this gentleman share his heart. And it turns out this gentleman had a great passion for sharing the gospel, and he was just wanted to give John Paul a message of courage. Like, we can do this. John Paul put him on a committee for evangelization. Evangelization is basically people that are dedicated to sharing the gospel. But I share the story with you because, we too have to have courage. Holiness isn't easy. The devil doesn't want you. He's constantly lurking. He doesn't want you to be holy. He wants you to be mediocre. He wants you to be everything the world wants you to be and nothing what Jesus wants you to be. So I share you that story because, we need you to have courage. We need you to have this courage that you can have faith. You can be faithful, and faith can grow in you. And Jesus says in scriptures, he says, if you have faith but the size of a mustard seed. He says in scripture with the withered, if you remember the withered fig tree. He says, even if you have faith, you can say to this mountain, go jump into the sea, and it does it. We just have to have the courage that it can happen. We also need to have hope. That hope that Jesus will be there in our time of need. And I know he will be. I know he will be, but you just have to trust that. Trust that Jesus will have your back, and then he wants you to be holy. He wants you in heaven with him forever. And we need to understand that there's a great power in our faith. There's a great power. So because my phone's going to end in 2 seconds, I'm going to have to end this really soon. So I'm going to talk about a story, probably either St. Colby or the gentleman in heaven on his way to St. Peter's Gate. And he sees a gentleman there. While he's waiting, he says,